people are getting wired from going on social media, looking at their cell phone as the last thing they do before bed. And that's their way of unwinding. So if you find yourself in a place of, I unwind by looking at my social media, just know that actually that's not a reality. That's your story.
We are facing a global epidemic of sleeplessness. Only 48% of adults report sleeping between 7 to 9 hours per night. 26% report 6 to 7 hours, and 20% sleep less than 6 hours. So let's talk about sleep and how hormones play a big role. Obviously, one of the biggest ones is the stress hormone, cortisol. Naturally, when we are unwinding for the evening, the hormone of cortisol is supposed to be its lowest. And then in the morning, it's supposed to be at its highest. And so there's that hormone changing within the day. And then the hormone melatonin starts to hopefully kick in when cortisol's at its lowest in the evening. Part of the issue, I think, is that we're spending a lot of time with bright lights, social media, television, and there's no unwind time. And nervous system and nervous system and energy is like a kind of this high, tired, wired state. So one of the things that I advocate for in that circumstance is acupuncture. And I would love for you to speak to that before I then talk about the process of hormones as we are going through, stages of life change and how those hormones influence our sleep. So Mary, can you speak to how acupuncture can help for patients in that tired, wired state?
Love this. And actually, I want to just bring it back to what you said. People are getting wired from going on social media, looking at their cell phone as the last thing they do before bed. And that's their way of unwinding. So if you find yourself in a place of, I unwind by looking at my social media, just know that actually that's not a reality. That's your story, because what you're doing is you're over-sensitizing your nervous system, and it will aggravate and accentuate the adrenals from being super active versus this is a time where you're slowing down, your endorphins kick in, and that's where acupuncture can come in. So we've certainly seen people not only for straight up sleep challenges, but even like for perimenopausal, menopausal women with the hormonal decline where there can be sleep issues. And we've seen improvements in sleep quality, both in terms of the depth of sleep, the sleep in terms of the ability to fall asleep, as well as the ability to stay asleep. And it's profound. And I love it because they come in, and I'll even see people, they'll threaten me and they'll say, oh, Mia, I'm so wired. I'm not going to relax today. And then okay, well, we'll see about that. And that's a great challenge to overcome. And then we'll put the needles in and I come back in. I let them relax and chill in their nice, calm room, whether they're listening to some meditation or relaxation music or both. It's dark. There will be warmers on their hands and feet. So really setting the mood for that quietude, that chillax time. And I come back and they're like,
Yes. And that moment might be the only moment they get all week where it's downtime, but it sticks, it holds, and it's exciting to look forward to. And it also teaches them that they are capable, like you're saying, they're capable of unwinding. And the acupuncture needles are doing their action, and it, with the carefully selected points that perhaps are addressing cortisol or the hormone changes of perimenopause, menopause, but the actual process itself too, you're giving yourself that space. And do you play meditation in the room or relaxing music when they're getting acupuncture treatment?
We do it in a way that's individualized because some people cannot stand relaxation music. And some people just want the full quiet. And other people want to be distracted with something so that they're not buzzing in their own heads as much. So for some, literally, I've let them listen to some podcast that is about, what is that show that people, The Bachelor or something really silly, right? Because it's that's their way of unwinding. But for most, it's really about in that quiet space, in the dim of light, and just the relaxation music. And sometimes they want the guided meditation, so we add that in. Sometimes they just want to have a conversation just to help them release what is so prevalent in their heads. So it's like, okay, let's just spit it all out right now, and then you can relax some more during the session. So it's really individualized into what the person needs, which addresses back to also when it comes to acupuncture, it's not a prescribed formulation. It's not like everybody gets the exact same points. Yes, we do know that there are some great points to calm the spirit. And then we've done this in another episode where it's right between the brows. So it has multiple functions because we don't like the lines that develop between the eyebrows as well. So it's like calms the mind, and it helps, as I call it, the acutox point, where instead of Botox, we do that to relax and calm the mind, calm the spirit, and just get you in a different space that, instead of that frenetic energy, which we want to maybe have that vital energy as we're up and around and trying to do and juggle 1,000 things at once. But there's also a time for quietude, and that pause will actually help you be more effective in life later. So, we've talked about sleep before, where we say, there's this whole adage about working hard, playing hard, and sometimes having less sleep is considered a badge of honor. And we're saying that, no, you need that pause, kind of like you need to recharge that battery for your cell phone, because otherwise it'll die and just never revive. Well, hello, we're not that different. We need to revive and have the energy so that we can keep on going. But that requires that pause, and it in the way of sleep. And if you're so riled up and if sleep is not there, then at least the rest, at least that calm.
Right. Yeah. Give yourself the permission to rest, even if you're having severe insomnia. But you almost need a reset. So if you just leave insomnia and don't treat it, sometimes you get afraid that you can't sleep, and the panic of that alone is enough to put you into this disturbed sleep cycle. So that's where medications or supplementation can play a role in getting into this routine of going for acupuncture. Women who are going through the perimenopause transition may be in this state of workhorse kind of mentality, have the high cortisol, and which actually has been shown to impact then the hot flushes and the night sweats that are then connected with that stage of life. So as we are transitioning from, the fertility years and ovulating normally regularly, we may be kind of shifting to irregular menstrual cycles, which means gaps sometimes in ovulation and having periods, and or just like subtle changes, like 7 days, later 1 month, 7 days earlier 1 month. So the hormones of estrogen and progesterone are changing. And so with that, it's really important to address the drop in progesterone that happens because we're often releasing tons of estrogen and then nothing for a while. And that change can cause the hot flushes and night sweats. So addressing it, especially if you're experiencing this earlier on in your early 40s. So just recognizing that you can get help for the insomnia. And sometimes it's looking at, some patients don't want hormone replacement therapy. It could be, doing the whole, lifestyle changes combined with acupuncture and working on ways to bring down stress. But if they are losing their period earlier and they're not sleeping at all and they're having night sweats, then hormone replacement therapy to address that is really important because of all the consequences that can happen with that. So we're looking at estrogen and progesterone, cortisol, and then, insulin is a really big one too. People who have unmanaged type 2 diabetes are often peeing out their sugars at night. So many hormones play a role in this insomnia epidemic. So I guess the bottom line is see a healthcare practitioner like Mary or myself, naturopathic doctor, and over at Alive Holistic Health, and one of us can help you. We've got a group of practitioners that are all very well versed in this. And if you really like these episodes that we do, please like and share and subscribe so that we can keep doing this for you and showing up with evidence-based naturopathic medicine. And we have amazing guests. Please comment and let us know if there are any shows that you would, or topics that you would like us to cover. Thank you for listening.